Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're into coin collecting, today's video is for you. We're diving into some of the most expensive and ultra-rare US coins that are worth a small fortune. These coins often come with fascinating stories or errors, making them true treasures. Let's get started. Let's kick things off with a coin that might surprise you. This is a 1965 Washington quarter with no mint mark. Now, 1965 was a pretty significant year for US currency. For the first time since 1931, the US Mint decided to stop adding mint marks to most of its coins. You'd think that would mean all 1965 quarters would be missing their mint marks, right? Well, not exactly. Here's where things get interesting. The US Mint was actually supposed to add a mint mark to certain coins depending on where they were produced. The mint marks, either D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or nothing at all for coins made in Philadelphia, helped collectors and the public know where the coins were minted. But in 1965, due to some changes in production, something unexpected happened. Some Washington quarters were released with absolutely no mint mark, making them a pretty rare find today. So, what's the big deal? Why does it matter that a coin is missing a mint mark? Well, mint marks are used to identify where the coin was produced, which is an important detail in numismatics, or coin collecting. For most years, it's pretty straightforward. A D means it was made in Denver, and an S indicates San Francisco. But in 1965, due to a change at the Philadelphia Mint, coins produced there weren't stamped with a mint mark at all. And that's where the rarity comes in. Normally, missing mint marks don't happen that often. When they do, collectors take notice. In this case, the 1965 Washington quarter with no mint mark is a rare anomaly that collectors are constantly on the lookout for. So, if you find one, you could be holding something incredibly valuable. Now, why exactly does this mistake make the 1965 quarter so valuable? Well, think about it. The US Mint's failure to add the mint mark wasn't just a small error, it was a big deal in terms of coin production. Mint marks serve as proof of where a coin was created, so when a 1965 quarter is found without one, it automatically becomes a highly sought-after piece for collectors. The rarity and the story behind it are what push the value sky high. So, what's the value? Well, a 1965 Washington quarter with no mint mark can be worth anywhere from a few $100s to as much as $10,000, depending on its condition. If you've got one in really good shape, you could be sitting on a serious treasure. Most of the time, the ones in top condition, like uncirculated ones, fetch the highest prices. But even if you find a well-worn one in decent shape, it could still bring in a pretty penny. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know if I've got one of these rare 1965 quarters with no mint mark? Well, it's all about checking closely for that mint mark. If you find a 1965 Washington quarter that's missing the D, or S, on the back, that's a major red flag that you've got a coin worth checking out. So, next time you're going through your change or going through your coin collection, take a closer look at any 1965 quarters you come across. If there's no mint mark, you might just have a rare, valuable coin in your hands. Next up, let's talk about another rare coin, the 1965 Jefferson nickel. Just like the 1965 Washington quarter, the 1965 Jefferson nickel was also produced without a mint mark. But here's the interesting part, this coin was actually supposed to have a mint mark, which makes it even more valuable when it's missing. Let's break it down. The 1965 Jefferson nickel was intended to carry a mint mark to show where it was minted, either in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. This was pretty standard for US coins. Mint marks help us track where coins are produced, and collectors rely on them to determine rarity and value. But due to some changes happening at the US Mint during this time, a lot of these 1965 nickels were made without a mint mark at all. That means if you find one, you're holding on to a pretty rare mistake, and as with most rare coins, that can mean big money. Now, here's the cool thing about this nickel. Most people don't even know that it's a rare error. It looks like a regular 1965 Jefferson nickel, and at first glance, it might just blend in with the rest of your pocket change. But the lack of a mint mark is what sets it apart from the rest. If you happen to have one of these in your collection, it's worth taking a closer look to see if it's missing the mint mark. If it is, that small mistake could actually lead to a major payday. In fact, depending on its condition, a 1965 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark can be worth up to $7,000. That's a pretty big jump from the coin's regular face value of just 5 cents. Of course, the coin's condition plays a huge part in its value. The more well-preserved it is, the higher the price it could fetch. Coins in excellent condition, like those with little to no wear, are always in demand among collectors. It's pretty wild when you think about it. A small change, like a missing mint mark, can turn a regular nickel into a valuable collector's item. And because so many of these 1965 Jefferson nickels were made without mint marks, there aren't as many of them floating around, which only increases their value. So, how can you tell if you've got one of these rare coins? It's pretty simple, just take a look at the reverse side of your 1965 Jefferson nickel. If there's no mint mark present, then you've got yourself a rare piece. The mint mark is usually located just to the right of Monticello, the building on the back of the coin, so it's easy to spot if you're looking closely. Now, even if you don't have one of these in your collection yet, keep an eye out for them. You never know, that 1965 nickel you come across in your pocket change could end up being worth thousands of dollars. The key takeaway here is that these small errors, whether it's a missing mint mark or some other slight mistake, can make all the difference when it comes to coin collecting. And if you happen to stumble upon one, it could be your ticket to a nice little windfall. Now, let's take a look at one of the most coveted and rare coins in the world of numismatics, the 1965 SMS penny. SMS stands for Special Mint Set, and it's a pretty big deal in the world of coin collecting. If you're unfamiliar with SMS, don't worry, I'll break it down for you. Back in 1965, the US Mint started producing these special sets as a way to avoid making regular proof coins. Proofs are typically high-quality, shiny coins that are produced in limited quantities for collectors. But in 1965, instead of continuing with the traditional proof process, the Mint created these SMS sets. The idea was to make a higher quality version of the coins to appeal to collectors, while also cutting down on the cost and time involved in producing regular proof coins. The cool part is, these SMS sets were supposed to be special, and only made available to collectors. But, as is often the case with rare and valuable coins, something went wrong. Due to a distribution error, some of these coins, especially the 1965 penny, ended up being released into circulation, even though they weren't meant to be there. So, what we're left with today is a rare mistake that makes these coins incredibly valuable. Now, why does it matter so much that these coins were accidentally released into circulation? Well, it's all about rarity. These 1965 SMS pennies were never intended to be in general circulation, so there's a very limited number of them out there. To make things even more interesting, the SMS pennies were also supposed to have a mint mark, but many were released without one. And that lack of mint mark, combined with the fact that they were part of the special set, makes them a sought-after collector's item. The 1965 SMS penny is especially valuable because it combines rarity with a unique error, missing a mint mark. If you happen to have one of these pennies sitting in your collection, it could be worth quite a bit, depending on its condition. A well-preserved example, one that's in excellent shape with minimal wear and tear, can fetch up to a jaw-dropping $15,000. To put that in perspective, a regular 1965 penny, without any special error, might be worth just a few cents. But when you're talking about an SMS penny with no mint mark, you're looking at a much higher value. And because these coins were never supposed to be in circulation, they're extremely hard to find. Most collectors who have one of these in their possession know exactly how rare it is. It's pretty wild when you think about it. Something as small as a mint mark can drastically change the value of a coin. The 1965 SMS penny is a perfect example of how a small production mistake can lead to a major treasure for collectors. If you're lucky enough to come across one, it's definitely worth having it appraised, because you might just have a $15,000 coin sitting in your collection. Another coin from the 1965 era that could bring you big bucks is the 1965 No Mintmark Roosevelt dime. Just like the other coins we've talked about, this dime is missing the mint mark that would typically tell us where it was made. Normally, mint marks on coins indicate whether they were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But in 1965, some Roosevelt dimes were produced without any mint mark at all, which makes them stand out as rare and valuable. Now, while this dime isn't as valuable as the 1965 Washington quarter or the 1965 SMS penny, it still holds significant worth. In excellent condition, a 1965 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark can be worth up to $5,000. That's quite a jump from its original face value of just 10 cents. The reason these coins are so sought after is that mistakes like this don't happen often in U.S. coinage. Coins like dimes, quarters, and pennies all typically follow a set process at the mint, so when something goes wrong, like a missing mint mark, it immediately becomes a rarity. And with rarity comes value. The fact that this dime lacks a mint mark makes it a much more desirable piece for collectors. Because there are fewer of these coins around, people are willing to pay a premium to get their hands on one. Whether you're just starting your coin collection or you're a seasoned numismatist, the 1965 No Mint Mark Roosevelt dime is a perfect example of how a simple mistake can turn an ordinary coin into a highly coveted treasure. Why are these mistakes so valuable? So, why are these errors and misprints worth so much? Well, for starters, these coins are rare. When a mistake like a missing mint mark occurs, it's a tiny little anomaly in an otherwise perfectly minted coin series. And in the world of coin collecting, rarity is king. People are willing to pay a premium for something that's hard to find and that stands out from the crowd. Additionally, coin collecting is about history. These rare coins tell a story of what went wrong at the mint, or how a batch of coins was accidentally released into circulation. It's like owning a piece of history. Imagine having a coin that represents a unique moment in time, like the 1965 SMS penny, which was never meant to be in circulation. To collectors, owning a piece of history like that is worth every penny. How to find these rare coins and what to look for. Now, you might be wondering, how do you find these rare coins? Well, it all starts with paying attention. Most of these 1965 coins are out there circulating in the wild, so keep an eye out when you're checking your pocket change. The key is to look closely at the mint marks. And if you find one of these rare coins, be sure to get it appraised by a professional. Most of these coins are worth much more than their face value, and having an expert's opinion will help you determine just how much your coin is worth. Conclusion. So, there you have it, 4 of the most expensive and ultra-rare U.S. coins you might find. Whether it's the 1965 No Mint Mark Washington quarter, the Jefferson nickel, the SMS penny, or the Roosevelt dime, these coins represent the fascinating world of coin collecting and the mistakes that make them so valuable. If you've enjoyed learning about these rare finds, be sure to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on rare coins and their incredible histories. Who knows, you might have one of these coins hidden in your collection right now.